So you're familiar with the Facebook platform. Any of your developers, you might have tried releasing apps on Bebo and MySpace as well. If you have done, you might have found it quite hard work to, well, first of all, take into account all the different APIs that those three platforms have to manage apps in those different locations. But from a marketing point of view, it can make sense to not forget them. They're big platforms in their own right. These are UK numbers. So for those developers, if only there was a better way. So what the iPlatform does, it's a product for web agencies or web developers who know how to build websites, and they want to be able to build social applications quickly and easily. Okay, so this client is a web agency, and they've already built a standalone social community for one of their clients. Okay, so it's a branded site for motoring enthusiasts to share their enthusiasm about motoring. And so we help them, say standard web developers, chop up their website that they knew very well and to plug it into the iPlatform. Okay, so what we then do is we host these apps, register them ourselves, and simply iframe in the work that the client's done, passing along a simple parameter that they can then use to talk to our SOAP service. Okay, so they can find out through that, for example, profile information for users, and then also to access the integration points on the social networks. Okay, so that's all through one unified interface. Okay, so whether they've arrived on Facebook or Bebo or MySpace, okay, it's the same client code that's being used, and in fact, our clients don't even need to know which social network they've arrived through. So what our clients do is to talk to us through a SOAP service. That's just a sort of very standardized and simplified web service. Okay, so they can validate the user. We will return a username that they understand. So, for example, in the Motor Addict site, we will return a username that is the same as they'd use on the standalone version of the site. Okay, so we're the ones who worry about identifying the users and mapping them to something that makes sense. Okay, so for the website developer, then they can hook back into the source social network in various ways. So if they want to get a friends list, I mean, again, we worry about whether we're talking to Facebook or Bebo or MySpace, and we will return just a list of usernames that the client will understand. Okay, so for newsfeed, there's a call they can make on our service, and it's very similar to the Facebook syntax, with a few bits added on, and we translate that onto Facebook. We worry about things like registering templates and worrying about the size of story. On Bebo, it has a different notation, and so on. Okay, and for getting profile information, okay, that's something that we do in a standardized way again. So if you've developed on MySpace, you'll know that the profile returns an age. On Facebook, it returns a birthday. So we've got one way of accessing it. We always translated it into some form of birthday. Okay, so we see web agencies as our ideal users. We're also integrating with a few startups, perhaps where they don't want to commit too many resources on their side to moving on to the social networks. Okay, so for web agencies then, it allows them to offer new marketing channels to their clients by getting onto these social networks, but it allows them to do that in-house so that they can take their existing team without having to train them up to be social network specialists. Okay, so that should lower costs, especially ongoing costs, in terms of maintaining their apps, because they can do it in the same way as they've been doing it for their websites. Okay, so what we're doing here is bringing websites into the social networks, and the idea is it should be a lot easier to target users and make them stay within Facebook and Bebo. Okay, so developers again should make everything easier really. You don't need to keep your eye on the changes in all the social networks. So you don't need to come here anymore and listen to Iskander's talk about what's changed, because it will be our job to keep up to date with that. Okay, so yes, if you'd like to know more, please talk to me or Josh, my co-founder. But if anyone is interested, do mention you've seen this talk, because we'd like to offer to members of the Facebook Garage, reduced setup fees, especially where not too much consultancy is involved. But let us know that you heard us here.